Americans' refusal to recognize the falsified results and the efforts of international intermediaries contributed greatly to the peaceful resolution of the conflict. This also meant that the United States and the West, in general, now also played an important symbolic role in Ukraine as both promoters and models of democracy and economic transparency. Their failure to live up to this example would undermine the reformist forces in Ukraine and push the Ukrainian elites in the direction of the authoritarian and corrupt regime in Russia that presents itself as opposed to Western values. American administrations, even when they seemed aware of this symbolic role, did not do enough to support their diplomats in Ukraine, nor did they push strongly enough for political and economic reforms in the country. In 2013, when another Ukrainian president tried, in a stunning political U-turn, to reverse the country's course on cooperation with the European Union and the West, a popular revolution unfolded once again in the center of the Ukrainian capital. Sensing support from Russia, this time the authorities did not give up easily until the escalating violence resulted in a significant number of casualties, the overwhelming majority of them on the protesters' side. With the officials of the old regime making off to Russia, the Ukrainian parliament installed a new government, which the United States and their Western partners supported. But Russia took this opportunity to annex the Crimean Peninsula from Ukraine and to start a war in the borderland region of the Donbass, which it tried to present as an internal Ukrainian conflict, the involvement of Russian tanks, artillery, and soldiers notwithstanding. With the outbreak of Russian aggression in 2014, Ukraine became, for the United States and their Western partners, something more than a strategically important country whose security the West guaranteed and where they supported, albeit insufficiently, democratic and market reforms. The Russian annexation of the Crimea and the Russian-sponsored war in the Donbass highlighted Russia's brazen violation of international treaties and an open challenge to a world order based on the rule of law rather than the right of the strong. The American response would not only strongly influence the conduct of international politics, but would also reflect on America's own commitment to transparency and due process in supporting its allies, such as Ukraine. Instead, the reaction in Washington was mixed. Although the Trump administration reversed the ban on the delivery of lethal weapons to Ukraine instituted under Obama, it has also tried to embroil the Ukrainian authorities in precisely the kind of political deals they wanted to leave behind. These Ukrainian authorities were also new because the Ukraine that emerged from the revolution and ongoing war in the Donbass proved its capacity for democratic renewal by holding free and fair elections. With the support of its Western partners, the country has also made significant advances with reforms, only to be labeled by some American politicians and media outlets as a corrupt place, where one could find compromising material on any Westerner who ever visited. This unfair perception has caused Ukraine to become a metaphor in American politics, rather than a real country needing America's positive example and support as it fights for its sovereignty and the well-being of its citizens. In the decades since the collapse of communism, Ukraine has been important for the West for a variety of reasons, and its importance has only increased in the new millennium. But the West has also stood for something in the Ukrainian political imagination: the rule of law, observance of human rights, struggle against corruption, and political transparency. It can inspire Ukrainians, and the rest of the world, only if it stays true to these principles. What is the Maidan, and what made it top news around the world? Maidan is how the residents of the Ukrainian capital, Kiev, usually abbreviate the name of their city's main plaza, Maidan Nezalezhnosti, Independence Square. In recent times, this name has also come to connote a space of popular protests and people power in general. Maidan is a Turkic word for a square, and Ukrainians likely borrowed it from the Crimean Tatars or other Turkic-speaking people. The Maidan is centrally located in downtown Kiev, straddling the city's main thoroughfare, Khreshchetyk Boulevard. There are no government buildings in the vicinity, with the exception of City Hall.